good evening again. We want to welcome you guys back to another episode of the Black Belt Experience. And we back in this thing. And we're excited about tonight because we got a lot to discuss tonight. The tippy tappy, that's my man Peanut coming in on the side. But what's going on, Robert? How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm back.
Back in this thing.
Right.
I know.
Back in this piece.
Back in this piece. Back in this piece. So we just excited and just excited for people to come on in here so we can get going. And I know people watching the Cowboys play right now, the Cowboys and the Cowboys and the 49ers. But
Cowboys ain't saying it's over.
They just saying it's over.
It's over. You don't hear a Cowboy nowhere.
Robert, you're gonna get people mad at you. There's a lot of them.
I know they already want with me.
A lot of them Cowboy fans now. We got how you doing, Miss Ryan? Clarita Ryan, she said good evening. Good evening to you, Miss Valeda. Good evening to you. Cindy Jones said good evening, everyone. Miss Idota Jones, good evening. Good evening to you. Belinda Ryan Smith, how you doing? Good evening. Good evening to you. Good evening, Mama D. How you doing? Hey, Valeda said, let's go, Cowboys.
Let's go.
And then Miss Dayla Maynard, how you doing, ma'am? How you doing? Miss Carolyn Richards said, good evening, guys, and happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to you, too. That's your classmate. Say good evening. Roll Tide.
Right.
You know, rock and roll with the time. Miss Deborah Perkins, good evening to you. We really do appreciate you guys. We really do appreciate you guys. How you doing, Miss Harris? Good evening. Good evening to you. But, yeah, we really do appreciate you guys. More than what you know. Hey, Mom, how you doing? Miss Elaine Harris said, good evening, everyone. We got some real good information we want to put out, just some education, talk about a lot of things. I know we had a lot of stuff to go on in the community, and we just really want to just kind of just spread some information just so people can be aware of what's going on. But we want to give a shout out to our sponsors of the Black Belt Experience. We have Chemist Corners Creation, owned and operated by Miss Kimberly Evans. You can go and check her out on her Facebook page, Chemist Corners Creations. And also you can check her out at her website, www.chemistcornerscreation.com. Next, we have the T-shirt bar, which is owned and operated by Lakeisha Davis, which has a location in Demopolis, Alabama, as well as Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So if you have any ideas you need in the T-shirts, make sure you reach out to them. You will not be disappointed. You will receive first-class service. Next, we have the Men of Valor, Greensboro, Alabama. They continue to do great things, continue to serve the community, and we're proud of them and the work that they're doing and the impact that they've had. Next, we have a Southern Bite restaurant, which will soon be opening up in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, which is owned by Lakeisha Davis. They've been posting some real good pictures, man. I seen that bologna sandwich. Boy, that thing look like something I used to make back at the house down in Sawyerville. What you got to say, Rob? Solve, back in Solve. But then lastly, we have Be Great Apparel. Go check out their Facebook page, Be Great Apparel Facebook page. I will tell you, young man doing his thing, got T-shirts, got sweaters, got his own apparel, own clothing company. So very proud of him. Native of Greensboro, Alabama, Miss Valeda Page, baby boy. So proud of him, and go check him out and let them know you heard it here on we got a few more people we're going to get in here. Miss Joyce Jones said, good evening, everybody. Jared Brown said, hey, guys, those Eagles are waiting. So they waiting on whoever win with the Cowboys and the 49ers. And Rodney, the ambassador, the international ambassador, the metropolis of Depot, Alabama. So, man, we had a lot going on. It happened literally while we was on the show last week, and that was the arrest of an Alabama player for murder. I think it was Darius Miles, if I'm not mistaken. He was arrested for murder and for capital murder. And from what I got, allegedly, it was him and another male, and the other guy was in the car, and they was trying to talk to this young lady, 23-year-old lady who had a son. I guess she didn't want to talk to him. They got into an altercation, and they got to shooting, and the young lady died. and I know that what he recently, like he was just playing on the team, and then next thing you know, he's been arrested for capital murder. I know that that's pretty much what that was. I was just, when I heard about it, it was just sad, man, just for why it even get to that space. But man, there's a lot going on. What you heard anything else about that shooting, Larry? The Alabama player?
No, I hadn't heard anything else about it. I know he say he didn't do the shooting, but he did get a young man the gun that did do the shooting. So of course they're gonna charge him anyway. Just a sad situation all the way around.
Yeah, very sad. And not only sad though, when you start to look at it, it really, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. And like what you said, the capital murder charge too. So I mean that's a significant charge. And either way, what is more than sad is the loss of life, the senseless loss of life for the young lady. I don't know what was said, but that right there, it was disappointing to me. So that's what I wanted to just bring up on that one. And we keep talking about gun. About it. We got to use our head and be a little bit more, be accountable for our actions, but be able to critically think about things. This man say it would not a good school. Yeah, I would say this though. With that, it was on national news for a little bit, like it was on ESPN and all of that stuff. They talked about it, but like the arrest was immediate. That they made an immediate arrest, and I agree there ain't gonna be too much negative on the school, but this one, man, it just made the loss of the life of the young lady with her son, man. That was disheartening, and my prayers for her and her family and her son as they go through this time of bereavement. But yeah, I just wanted to hit that up and talk about that. And we also had a lot of things going on. And I want to give a shout out to Senator Robert Stewart, because we had some storms going on, and we talked about it a little bit last week, but he's been doing a lot of work in the Selma area in District 23. Has been going around and engaging with the community and serving the community. So we just want to give him a shout out for the work that he's been doing. I know Terry Sewell has been down there. A lot of organizations have been coming together. A lot of people making donations happen for them. But one thing I do want to say, and we talked about it last time. We talked about this last time, and I continue to want to echo this, is we are in an area where we know where we face storms, because posted on the Facebook page, there's some severe weather supposed to come through Tuesday night through Wednesday morning, and it's supposed to be in our area where we're at. It's supposed to be marginal risk to slight risk and we talking about thunderstorms. So and that's from the Alabama Emergency Management Agency. It's shared on the Black Belt Experience page, so you can go follow their page to get information all the time. And we got people still recovering from the last tornado that came through down there in between Sawyerville, Utah, and Akron area. And one thing that we have to do is we got to start getting some insurance, man. We got to start getting something and come together as a community and start setting up an emergency relief, or come together and do coalitions so that we can have plans together and set aside funding so that we can leverage those funding or utilize those funding when these type of things happen, when people need resources, instead of, or have it set up to where if people want to make donations, then we'll have a credible source that somebody can go to and make those, so that it's not like it's just one, everybody popping up now want to help. You ain't heard nothing from them before, but now they want you to make donations to them so that they can go do stuff for folks. What you had to say, Robbie? I know you had to. He was right there.
This is my take on that. we got FEMA, and I guess they do an okay job. Why do we have to collect? This is Tornado Alley. Everybody knows anything about Alabama, like Oklahoma has the twisters, up north they got the storms, the winter storms and stuff. And this is gonna probably open a whole can that's has nothing to do with what's going on right now. Mm-hmm. If this government, this system that we have here, can send trillions of dollars to other countries and rebuild their countries, we have a president of South Korea. If this happened somewhere else, our president would send millions, if not billions, to rebuild this area. Why is it that in the United States here, that we have to go through so many loops and so many red tapes? Like originally, what frustrated me before, the governor, she announced that, the Selma area, Dallas County, will be, state of emergency so they can release FEMA funds. Here we are now. Hale County has been recently added to that, but it originally wasn't there. Mm-hmm. My thing is, why don't we have this every year? The same things happen. This is not like an algorithm or like okay, we miss a year. Something happens every year. Mm-hmm. Why is it that, like, just piggybacking on what you're saying, Robert? Why is it that we don't have, why we don't collect all year round? And why do we have to collect anything anyway? If we can help other places, why can't we help here?
Well, Larry, you had something to add, because I know
I just agree with everything you say. It is sad that we can have all type of disasters here and seem like it's like pulling a tooth to get the government to help. But in other countries and places, when they go through natural disasters, we send them money, helping out. I know they gave Iraq a lot of money, just recently Ukraine and all these other countries, but you can't help your own. And that really don't make sense to me. It really doesn't make sense.
And I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm just going to look at it from this aspect. I know funding is allocated, or quote unquote government funding that allocated for certain things. The problem is this, right? A lot of the problem is when we start looking at this, first of all, I'm just saying, I'm not disagreeing with you guys, but I am going to talk another side of it, right?
Okay.
We have to start doing better to put ourselves in positions to where we are protected from these things that we know that are going to happen. And we talked about insurance. We talked about insurance. We talked about a lot of this stuff, right? And you mentioned, like, up north, man, right before Thanksgiving, we got 53 inches of snow in 36 hours. Now, they have a robust infrastructure to clear the roads and remove snow here, but nobody is designed to handle that load of snow. During Christmas, right at Christmas, we got literally, it snowed for 4 straight days here. We got over 4 feet of snow during that time. What happens is this: they have a system set up that they have structure from the county and from the city and the county government that do the roads and they do all of this stuff. But then they also have other people who they're partnered with the community. Everybody, you see a lot of people up here, they got their own snow plows and they plows, and up to where compensated, right, by the city government or be hired by these businesses to clear the parking lots or to clear those other things that are not the main roads. Because the city and the county, they clear the main roads. But when you're talking about business parking lots and all that, they get it done by other people. They have that set up to where when you see it, it's just like clockwork. It's the system. People make phone calls, everything in place, and that's what we're talking about, setting it up in the Black Belt. But also, too, what we have to do is one thing, we have to make sure that we are doing our due diligence and getting insurance to where we're not sitting there and just at the mercy of a declaration of a natural disaster before we can even get access to some funds from FEMA. And we talked about this before, but the reality is, I agree that we should prioritize taking care of our own. But I also do know this too, that there are different committees, there are different things in the state. And to be honest with you, I shared on the Black Belt Experience page, and this goes into Senator Bobby Singleton was elected for his second 4-year term, a first time, 2-time, second 4-year term as the minority whip of the Democratic Party. And the thing with that is when you go into that and it tells you all of the different committees and the different people that was assigned to things, right? And then this is why it's so important that we do our research. And this was some of the things that I say we want to talk about tonight. And they go and they tell you all of the assignments, the committee assignments, and I think it's from the Democratic Party.
Right.
And,
he has 6.
Yeah.
6 committees, and Stewart, Representative Senator Stewart, is on 7.
Yeah, he's on the. I'm sorry. They got he's not on here, but they got committee of rules. Bobby is on the committee on finances and taxation education. They also Senator Stewart, Robert Stewart, is on committee on finances and taxation general fund. Bobby Singleton is on the committee of confirmation. He's also on the committee of judiciary. Then they have the committee on governmental affairs local. And then they have Senator Robert Stewart is on committee on governmental affairs state. And they got committee on education policies. Bobby Singleton is the ranking minority member on the committee of agriculture, conservation, and forestry. Also, Senator Stewart is on there as well. Bobby Singleton is on the committee on banking and insurance. And then you got the committee on fiscal responsibility and economic development. And Senator Stewart is on the committee on transportation and energy. Senator Stewart is also on the committee on healthcare. Senator Stewart is also on the committee on children and youth healthcare. And Bobby Singleton is on the committee on tourism, and Senator Stewart is on that committee. And you have the committee on veterans, military affairs, and public safety. So these are all the committees they were talking about the Democratic Party was represented on. And I would share a link where you can go in and it will tell you what each committee is responsible for. Now, with that being said, right, with the committee, but they said the committee on parents, Senator Bobby Singleton on there. And what I would like for him to do is come on here and tell people, you know, what they can do as far as with insurance, getting insurance to protect themselves, or what they can do at the state level to address those things that we know going to happen coming through the Black Belt, especially if it's at like Tornado Alley or these areas like this. So we don't have people just sit. Listen, I'm not taking away from what churches and stuff are doing, but it rubs me a little wrong, Larry and Robert, when the only time we hear from all these organizations that want to do something for the Black Belt is when the natural disaster comes and they want donations. But where they at? You know, where they at when all of this go away?
Right. I just like for us to be proactive instead of reactive.
Yeah, and then listen, I'm about to say this, and I know they may I'm gonna go ahead on to say it.
Say it.
There should be an expectation from the church to assist, right? Yes, that is, but it should not be an expectation for it's the church job to do everything for us, because I cannot expect somebody to assume the responsibility for me not getting my affairs in order.
Correct.
And we talk about this stuff and people don't like to hear it, but at the end of the day, when we start, we got to
say it like you feel it.
We got to stop expecting people to do fish fries and raise money and GoFundMe's to bury our folks when we can take some little time now and get in a policy, insurance policy for $20, $30 a month that will cover that for us. Go ahead, Larry.
Well, I think that's the problem with a lot of us as people. Some of us prepare for everything but death. You
But
know,
death is the one thing we know gonna come.
yeah, we don't prepare for that. You know, we prepare, you know, what we're gonna wear the next day. You know, we prepare, food, but we don't necessarily prepare for death or prepare for when we do go, the people that we leave behind won't have to struggle to bury us, or generational wealth. We don't prepare for things like that, and I think it's mainly because of ignorance. A lot of people think insurance is high. It's not that high. And when you just ignorant to certain things, you just don't do. And some people feel like, well, when I'm dead, it don't matter to me. No way, but somebody got to bear the burden of burying you, or making sure that whatever your last wishes are taken care of. But we gotta prepare for death. It's coming. You don't know when, but you coming unless you be here when Jesus come back. But we prepare for everything but death.
Yeah, I mean, death is a known, and we just don't know when it is coming.
And additionally, we don't go to the doctor like we should. Most of us don't.
Yeah, I mean,
I was guilty of that, but I learned. I learned.
Especially men. As black men, we'll say here, and we'll go with one of them remedies that somebody give us and patch ourselves up until we can't patch ourselves up anymore. If we do a survey right now of our listeners, I bet you every last one of them knows someone that probably didn't have a physical in probably 3 or 4 years. Everybody listen, I bet you. We need to not only prepare for death, we need to prepare so we can live a decent life. I retired early. If I did not put certain systems in place, I would not be able to stay here on Sunday and talk on this podcast stress-free. I don't have to work anywhere. And we need to look at that, because this body is not going to last forever. So you need to prepare yourself.
No. But running from that reality is not going to change it. Ms. Delamana said something. She said, well, the information that our people need is not being dispensed through the church. The only message is he died, and on the third day. Hey.
You better say it. You better say it.
Not much relating to day-to-day living. Insurance is another way of building wealth. Home insurance, life, and death insurance included. And she telling the truth though. And not only that though, is just spread due, man. I'm gonna find some people that's their lane, and just try to invite them to come try to get the information, take advantage of it, and realize that it's not
Miss Della. Miss Della, Miss Della, we don't go to Calvary. Y'all said we ain't preach. And we don't put him on the cross and kill him and get him up. We ain't preach.
They said they kill Jesus every Sunday. But no, we're gonna work to get people, and I would tell you that some other things too. My thinking about just getting people that talking about different programs or how to get different things funded. I know NACA, we had NACACOM that was in Greensboro and Akron talking about ways where you can qualify for homes and everything, and start thinking about these things, because this is how we make it better. Right? This is why I say that. It's a powerful thing where you're not at the mercy of somebody else for their resources for you to do what you got to do. I know y'all hear my dog in the background. I don't know what's going on with Peanut, but But when we're not at the mercy, then we can do a lot of things and get a lot of things accomplished in our community. So,
Peanut,
listen, man. This is the same. It don't matter. I think he's upstairs. My mom right now. My mom talking to somebody, and I think when we talk to Christian, you said man, he just get the singing. But yeah, man, I just wanted to touch bases on that and really get on another topic, man. And this is a good one. So, Bethune-Cookman University in Daytona Beach, Florida, had agreed in principle with Hall of Famer Ed Reed to be their football coach. And he agreed in principle, went to work, and they was working with his legal crew to ratify his contract with the, to write everything out in the contract. And he was immediately went to work, and he was out there with his football team. They picking up trash, doing a lot of different things. And he went to social media, and he went on social media, and he said, hey, Deion Sanders was right. And he started talking about how a lot of HBCUs have a broken mentality, right? And it was a lot of outrage from a lot of people in the HBCU community saying that, hey, they needed to fire and, who he think he is and blase. But, I'm just being honest with you. I myself, he ain't say nothing wrong. He ain't say nothing wrong. And this is the thing with that, HBCUs have a broken mentality. He didn't say all HBCUs was dysfunctional. He didn't say all HBCUs had these things going on. He was just how a lot of times, and it's the same thing, we can say the same thing in the Black communities, where we do have a quote unquote broken mentality because we have been conditioned to have lack. We have been conditioned not to have access. We have been conditioned to not have the things that we need. And when somebody who has been exposed to have the knowledge on how to get it, and they come in with that certain mindset, a lot of times it's received as if the person may be looking down on them or think that they know better, right? But in the instance of Ed Reed, I think Bethune-Cookman dropped the ball on this one. I think that they was extremely embarrassed about what he said, right? But this also is a reason why when you have people who already have resources and established and not at the mercy of the resources coming to them, this is when you'll get people that will speak their mind. It's the same way Deion Sanders did at Jackson State. The same, but when you have these other coaches who get hired by the school, and what people don't realize is when you're talking about most HBCUs, Deion Sanders at Jackson State he had a four-year $1 million contract. So he was making $300,000 a year. When you think about it, and the others wasn't making that much. They was making about $40,000, $50,000 a year.
Right.
They said that the coach he hired from Mississippi Valley State, who was a great coach, but he was at Mississippi Valley State. They were paying him as a head football coach right at $100,000 a year. Right now, I know in the state of Alabama, they got about 10 high school coaches that make $100,000 a year. So you had some high school coaches in the state of Alabama making more than a college coach by a university. You understand the neglect. We understand the things are not being done, but the same thing happened in the Black Belt. Issues is not from just neglect. A lot of our issues is for the lack of competent leadership. And you can say it, people can get mad and think that, but that's a reality. Because guess what? We get a lot of stuff come in. We have a lot of resources we just don't tap into because people get in positions, they want to have all the power going through them. They want everything to be through them and be about them. And when you got somebody that's come in and not and have a little bit more freedom, they walk a little different, and then they can't hold them, so they want to get rid of them. Facts.
It reminds me of the church.
Very much like church. When we talk about church business,
it reminds me of the church. You know, when the pastor come in and call stuff out in the church, deacons don't like that. Even though it's an issue, people don't like their issues to be broadcast or uncovered.
Don't you put out
So
our
they
logo.
get upset. Now we got to get rid of him because he's talking against how things really are. And I've come to the realization some people just don't want to change. You know, it's just like somebody come to your house. You know, you'll push stuff under the sofa, you'll throw stuff in the closet to make it look good, but it really dirty though. You know, you try to cover stuff up so it can look good for everybody else. And we have a lot of institutions that are like that. They want to make it look like it's all good, but then as soon as somebody say what's really going on, it's an issue. And we hide from the truth. But my issue is with those alumni that sit back and attack them when you know it's an issue. When it was an issue when you was there. But because somebody that didn't go to a HBCU say something concerning the HBCU, and on top of that, he had people ready to sow into Bethune-Cookman. Shaq and other people was ready to pour money into the college.
Yeah.
But because you got your feelings hurt because he spoke truth to the issues that were going on there, we got to get rid of him now. But you missed out on your blessing.
Because nobody said he was a lie.
No.
He lied. I mean,
and when you got billionaires ready to sow into your vision, at a college that needs help, that needs the funding, and you and your feelings because of what he said that wasn't a lie.
Yeah,
they got to get rid of him now.
But listen, they didn't argue and say what he said was a lie. They didn't like his delivery.
No.
But the reality is, those of us that know he's been like that since he was at the U.
He been outspoken.
He graduated high school in 97, the year before I did.
He just 44 years old. He just 44. He look old, but he just 44.
Ed Reed was like that. I can pull up a video where he was playing hurt in the locker room. That I guess I think they were playing Boston College, and he went off. That same energy, that's who he is. So it's not like they didn't know who Ed Reed was. They just didn't like the fact that he called him out. And my issue, Laramie, is all of them ignorant alumni that talking about he should be fired are the main ones that ain't did nothing for the school, but be the main ones complaining about the same issues that he talked about while they was
But this my thing. They talking about how the school represents character and this and that. Like they ain't never heard nobody cuss before. This ain't the first time you heard somebody cuss. He cussed because he's passionate about. He said in 2 weeks he's done more than jokers that been there for years, and he ain't even on the contract for real. It's just like me as a preacher. Somebody would hear me cuss as a preacher. Ooh, the preacher to cuss. You cuss every day. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying. But now you're gonna try to flip it like as if, you know, like if the institution is perfect when it's not perfect.
Man,
we all are people that are not perfect within our own right, that have our own imperfections, but you try to flip it to try to make it look like what you got going on is in order when it's out of order, and he addressed that in his social media live. Don't do that. Don't try to attack this man's character because he called y'all on y'all mess. I got an issue with that. Now I'm trying to talk about his character and this and that and this. And then the video after he got the news when he met with his players, some of them dudes was crying, man. They didn't want to see that man go.
So I'm gonna say this. Did you hear that Kirby Smart audio they got leaked? That him in the locker room before they played a football game?
Yeah.
You ain't hear nobody crying about what Kirby Smart, and he was going.
He went all the way in.
And Ed Reed was talking about the situation that he got when he got there. He was like, it's trash everywhere. He was like, they didn't even have his office clean when he got there. He's out there working with the players, cleaning up trash. And that's what he said. That's what he was doing.
It ain't even on the contract. He just showed up to work. I had to let y'all work that out. I'm still coming to work though.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. People get mad. Jaden said the students and parents hurt and suffer. That money could have really helped the school. And this is the other thing.
Let's talk about that.
Go ahead, Rob. Yep.
Because let's hypothetically say that everybody all the entertainers poured money into that school. How long would it be before they realize that the problem is the people, the management? How long will they realize that? Because at the end of the day, you can give $1 million to a poor person here, and he'll spend it in a week.
Mm-hmm.
You give it $1 million to a person that can manage money, and it can last a lifetime. If your leadership is destroyed, you can pour all kind of money in the world in that school. They still gonna do what they doing now. Selma, I said it. Mm-hmm. Selma had a problem way before this tornado because Selma has a management problem. They have a leadership problem. You can go down there and give them $100 million. It is too much money with that Jubilee that's coming up in March that's been here that they have not done nothing to that town. Let's go with Jadron's ideology. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, they gave you the money. Okay, he stayed. Is it really gonna trickle down to the school?
Well, I mean, Robert, one of the issues Deion Sanders had at Jackson State was in all these classics. We playing all this stuff, but why the money have to go to the general fund and not most of it come to the football players because we the ones bringing the money in.
Right.
But then also the other thing too is it's not just a Selma issue; it's a black belt issue. It's a black belt issue because what we have done over the last 20, 30 years is we have elected our own people because they kin to us or because they get their name in there. But those same people that we elected have not gone on to get the requisite knowledge and the skills and develop their level of competence to manage the city and bring forth true and enduring change that the community can benefit from it. What has happened is you got people that people just continue to keep in office that stay perpetuate this narrative as if they're doing something for the community, but we don't see no growth, no tangible growth in the community. And resources do come in. But those resources don't go to the right places because you got a lot of leaders who are self-serving and not selfless servants.
Right. And
that is the issue. Like you've been in office for 2-3 terms and you still don't know how to do your job.
Resource. Too proud to go ask somebody. Too proud to go
man. Look at and we keep talking about it. We keep talking about Mayor Roselle. But Mayor Roselle has been, he was recognized in Utah by the, hold on, I'm going to it. He was recognized in Utah by the Alabama Civil Rights Freedom Movement Incorporated for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Leadership Award, right? Just for the work that he was able to do in Akron. Akron, a town of 300 something, and I'm gonna go ahead on I'm gonna go there. You had Akron, a town of less than 300 some people, who they had people in there that was stealing, that set it up and was stealing, robbing them blind, rehabbing all of the money going to the library and robbing them blind. And you got folks mad because you got somebody to come in and doing an audit and hold people accountable for stealing. But them people supposed to be for the community. They didn't care nothing about the community. What they cared about is serving their own thing, and that happens. That is a chronic issue across the black belt. So shout out to him for what he did and what he was able to do. Go ahead.
And additionally, if what happened in Selma happened in Tuscaloosa, so technically, what should happen is. You see how Midtown look over there in Tuscaloosa now? After that tornado went through many years ago, you can't even tell ever been there. So, okay, Selma got an opportunity right now. Let's see what's going to happen in the next 5 years. Is Selma going to look like Tuscaloosa?
So, Robert, Selma. This is the thing, and this is what we talked about. Larry spoke about it last week. People finna come in there offering them folks penny on the dollar for their land, and them folks gonna sell for a quick dollar. And then they're going to come back and then they're going to bring those businesses in, and those businesses going to generate funds that are going to go outside of the black belt and not to the people that own it right now.
And some that don't represent the culture at all. It'll be something totally different.
Yep.
I don't see Selma. I went to school at Concordia in 89. And Selma was going through some stuff then, and here we are, 30 years later. Selma is still going through. In fact, worse. There's too many.
Well, Robert, that's because you
Go ahead.
go ahead.
There's two.
No, you just got to have people with vision.
Right. And we don't have that. Keep hearing something.
Yeah, and Miss Manning said that. She said it will price folks out of selling. Let me tell you what's gonna happen. They are going to lowball them, and people gonna take that money, and they think it's some money, and they're gonna run with it and be good with it right now. And you come back in 10 years, that same property is gonna be worth 7, 8, maybe 10 times more because of what they right now is an opportune time for the leadership in Selma and in Perry and Dallas County to get with investors to say, hey, what can we do to partner so that you can invest into the community to bring these things in there? Why? Because now you got an artery to go through. You got Highway 80 that come in there. You got the Jubilee. You got all this other stuff. Hey, let's go and let's set this thing up. You got on the board, Senator Singleton is on the board of tourism in the state of Alabama. Hey, look, what can we do to get this, to get people, you know what I'm saying, to get resources coming here?
Open
We had the heartbeat. Huh?
Open that school back.
What school?
Concordia. Education is the master class. A lot of people don't believe that. But when there's an artery or some kind of university or a college or something, the community grows. Because through education, there is a statistic that more people vote are the ones that have some kind of they have moved forward and have the educated ones vote more than anybody else, and those are facts. They need some kind of that school should never close in the first place.
But what we
that the state should have found some kind of way, just like you talked about in Germany. The state should have found some kind of way. Concordia should never close. You shouldn't. When you got schools closing, how can the people, have the tools and the information they need so they can make a sound decision? It's hard when you don't have all the information. And education will do that for you. That school should never close in the first place.
Well, I mean, but Robert, not just education though, community. Like community, in a sense of community. What I mean by a sense of community is, when you look back on it, right, and we going from, I'll say, baby boomers to Generation X to millennials to Gen Z. When you look at those transitions, a lot of the things were lost by community because we aren't talking about those things. We aren't talking about, with our Generation X. We were too darn friendly with our kids and trying to be their friends instead of trying to, because we were so frustrated with the quote unquote, what we felt like we was too structured and too rigid of being brought up that we didn't want to have those things and have those conversations with our kids. And what happens is we allow our kids to get out there and we don't talk about those things because there's a lot of things that we didn't know, but a lot of those things we just didn't want to, we found out later in life, and we was too embarrassed to tell our kids, "Hey, look, this is where I failed at, or this is what I didn't know." And like Miss Maynard said, if those folks could just hold out and hold on to their property, and armed with the proper education, they can rebuild their community and be able to keep their generational wealth.
Absolutely.
And yes,
absolutely.
And that's the same thing. And when we talk about gentrification, that's a term that we're quick to talk about, but that right there, gentrification is enabled when people are quick to make a quick dollar and they thinking short term and not long term, right? And then with that, right, we got to start looking at, all right, what can we do to position ourselves to be in better position to bring things to the community? And that's just talking to different people. I will tell you, there's a lot of people that are looking to invest. Where you got opportunities to make money, there are a lot of people willing to look to invest. We got a lot of stuff in the Black Belt. Man, we got land. And I'm telling you, for me being in different places, the land and the soil that we have in the Black Belt, look, think about this. Look at what's going on right now with eggs. And the egg, right? To me, they just exploiting that because that bird flu thing happened about 5-6 months ago. So right now they just making as much profit as possible because it don't take long to raise chickens to lay eggs. But that is going on right now. But if you look in the Black Belt with the farmers and different things like that, man, we got land, we got that can grow crops that can go into, go back into the food industry. We can do a lot, but we have to start thinking about what can we maximize with the resources we have, and do do what we need to do to bring about the change. And it's not, Robert, and Larry, it's not about just right now. We got to start looking at where we need to be at in 10, 15 years. What glide path we need to set on, what trajectory we need to project out, what gates we need to have that say, okay, around this time, and we can look at it like, okay, we plan it out by quarter. Hey, look, this is year 1 through 5. In this quarter, this is what we're going to do. This is what we achieve, hoping to achieve here. These are the people in the meeting that we're going to bring in to see about investors. This is where we're going to reach out to different people to see what they can come and maximize here in the Black Belt. Robert, you said on the Jubilee on Bloody Sunday, how World Eyes is on Selma, Alabama.
World.
Why aren't we maximizing that? In Marion, Alabama, that's the birthplace. That's where Coretta Scott King is from. That's where Dr. Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King got married at.
Sprout. And
right
the house is about to fall in. The house is about to fall in.
But that's what I'm saying. That's getting with the family. Go. What you say, Larry?
I said all at the house. They got the little museum over there at the church too, but none of that's really been taken care of. And I think for the most part, and I kind of got into it with some of my classmates because we got a little piece on the civil rights movement. And me and Richard Bennett, we in the same class. So we was like, we waiting on that portion, but some other people just jumped in. I'm like, y'all ain't even from the South. It's so much about the South that people don't know nothing about. You ask them about Jimmy Lee Jackson or any type of stuff, they don't know nothing about that. You know what I'm saying? So I think that because a lot of us in the South don't know our own history, we don't care about it.
Yeah. And Larry.
And you got so many people, and I'm guilty. I think it was like maybe 5 years ago was my first time going to the Safe House in Greensboro. 5 years. I was over this nonprofit with some senior citizens, and I took them down to the Safe House. But I'm 40 years old before I'm from Greensboro and never been to the Safe House. And I kind of felt bad after I went because it's a nice museum, but we don't appreciate our own, to be honest with you.
But you Larry, don't feel bad.
No, but Rob, I'm gonna say this. I always, you right there at the parking depot, you see it all the time, but I didn't know the importance of it. Then nobody really talk about that when we were coming up. I'm just being honest.
And that's so crazy because in the community, that's all I knew. As a kid, I remember, Miss Teresa doing my mama's and my sister's hair. They was getting them Jerry curls back then and stuff. And so they held me up in there, and because I was so antsy, I'm the middle kid, they would let me go over there and run around in the building. And every time I came home, I tried to go into that building. The opportunity I got when I moved back here, I said, I am going to be of service. And I went and knocked on that back door. And that's when Teresa Dave was there, and I said, I want to volunteer. And then when I volunteer, I went live every day or post a picture saying, I'm at the Safe House, y'all come through here. Do you know I had some classmates of my own saying, what museum is in Depot?
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
I'm dead serious. So think about this, right? That should be mandatory that all kids at the school go through there.
Absolutely.
I knew the building. I used to see it, but I didn't really know the importance of it. And Robert, you brought up a valid point. What people don't even know that they hid Martin Luther King in Depot.
Absolutely.
But that,
and then there are people in the community, okay, the white community, that tried to make it seem as if it did not happen. When there's recorded documents, when there's pictures, I've went through every file in that museum in that 2 years I was there.
This the trip that part. You had children that were a part of the movement.
yeah.
One of my cousins,
Absolutely.
he was in high. Well, I don't even know if he probably in junior high. And he got a mug shot because he was out marching with Curtis Rose, his name. I had no idea that you had children skipping school to go, be a part of the movement. I was dumbfounded, when Mr. Reese was going through everything. I'm sitting there like, wow. And then you got all these mug shots of people that you know in your family on the wall that were a part of the man. I was blown. I said, man, I ought to kick myself in the dude. Because I'm grown and never been to this place and it been here the whole time.
Yeah. And see, I'm very analytical. So I went through every mugshot that's on that wall. And it's funny you talk about Mr. Rose. He was at least 8 years old.
He was a boy. He was a boy.
On his mugshot, they had wrote, because if you look at all the mugshots, all of them are written in the same penmanship. I said, all these are written in the same penmanship. I guess that's the NCIS thing, that cop thing I got going on here. I said, why is all of them written in the same penmanship? And then I later realized that many people could not write. So there were certain people that wrote for everybody. On his, when they get the mugshots, they had them up like this. They had the date, his birth date, and the date that he actually went, when they went to jail. If you subtract those two, he was supposed to be 18 years old. The young man couldn't even button his pants up. When I tell you, his shirt wasn't even buttoned correctly. And when I was like, I got to find this guy. So I found Dudley in town. I said, where is this Curtis Rose? His brother Jig on the hi-hat. Jig. So me, to show you how God works, I'm in Tuscaloosa, VA. One of them days I end up there raising hell. And I'm sitting there waiting on my appointment. And guess who rolls in a wheelchair?
Curtis Rose.
And I looked at his face. He said, young man, who are you? I said, I know exactly who you are. Because I saw his face. He looks the same as he did as a kid.
He really does.
And he said, how did you know my name? I said, I volunteered at the Safe House Museum. And I want to hear from you because I know you was about 8 or 9 years old. He said, I was. He said, but I wanted to be a part of the movement. I dropped out of school. Can you imagine at 9 years old? That something is going on in your community, in your world, that you mature enough to want to be a part of.
Well, I mean,
and so they lied about his age on purpose. On purpose. I interviewed him today, right there in the hospital. I feel like I was standing in the presence.
And he has a wealth of knowledge. I mean, he's a walking history book for real.
A walking history book. When I tell you that was the best day at the VA for me. The best day at the VA. I was like,
Robert,
amazed.
I would say this, man, and Ms. Delamena said, this is my mission. I speak on it and host tourism here in Marion. I'm a foot soldier. She said she skipped school to protest. And when we think about it, when we sit down and think about it, right, Ruby Bridges is the same age as my dad. The young black girl who integrated schools in Alabama, she is the same age as my father. She was born in 1954. She is 68 years old right now. Right. And that's what, and this is, I want people to understand the importance. And that's why it is so, I appreciate the people like Ms. Delamena. I appreciate the people like Mr. Curtis Rose. Those people that did a lot for in a time where I didn't have to experience what they had to go through. I didn't have to go to the back of the restaurants when I was a kid to get something to eat. I didn't have to go up. If you go in Greensboro right now, where you coming down 69, when you come into town, right down there on that wall where they got Greensboro, the big white wall,
right,
where used to be some stairs on the side, where they just said that's the stair where you had to go to the movie theater that was upstairs, and that was the entrance for the black people. When we talk about, and I'm not saying this to be to stir up any hatred or anything. What I'm saying is it is time to sit down and pay homage and pay respect to those who fought on our behalf and see why they made things better. And that's why when people don't vote right now, that's why when we don't take part of civil, do our civil duties. That's why it's so disheartening, because guess what? That's what it makes me mad when Robert and Laramie, we've been in charge in the black belt for the last 30 years, man. And we still blaming other people when it's us.
All day.
Duck said, according to Miss Burrow, they came through Depot on back of some pickup truck tracking King to kill him. They came to Depot on the back of a pickup truck. But, you know, those are things where we don't realize just how much the people that we know, that we see every day, how important they were to the movement. And we talk about movement. That's why we should just say, you know what? It's time to get our kids and let them see and talk about it. And I charge people, man, to go to the museum. When are they open? When are they open, Rob?
They open Tuesday through Friday. I don't think they open on Monday, but I think they have a new director down there now, because Miss Davis, I think she went to the board. Mm-hmm. So it's a gentleman that's in there. I'm not really sure who he is, but if they call that, if they go to the website, then you'll see the hours, and they're more than welcome to run a tour, bring people in there, and talk about the history that we have right in our community, right at our fingertips. And I was amazed, because I guess for me, DC programmed me a different way. I because I'm 365 black all day, every day. And then when it comes to history,
not 364,
365 and change. It's a change. We just gave, since we got the leap year come on, give me 66.
But this is the tripped out part about it. You got more white people that travel to historical museums than black folks. They come on charter buses full.
I've witnessed it.
To learn about our history that we don't even want to know for ourselves. And that's the sad part for me.
And Lambert, and our parents lived through it. Our uncles, our cousins, they lived it. It ain't like that. You know, I explain to different people, man, like when we start talking about, you know, when you start having conversations, a lot of people have the assumption that a lot of the things we talked about with segregation and all that was a long time ago, which in reality it is. I mean, you think about it, 50 years is a long time if I'm 20 years old. It is. But when we say, okay, my mother had to go to the back of restaurants. You see what I'm saying? My granddaddy used to take my mama with him at night when he DJ'd to supplement his income as a teacher, because it was safer for him to travel with a 3-year-old daughter than for him to travel by himself in the state of Alabama at night.
And
when we start, they hit different. It hits different.
You know what the sad part about it is? What saddens me most, when you look at Alabama history and what they teach in school now, they don't talk about it. But you know what they do talk about? The Safe House Museum in Mississippi in the elementary schools. It's in the books. I had a couple of young kids from this area. Actually, Kim Skipper's grandson, he was riding through the neighborhood and said, "Grandma, we talked about that in school last week. That's in the history books in Mississippi, but not in Alabama. They don't teach that in school. That's half of the reason why people don't know it exists."
That's true,
but I agree with Robert. It should be a part of a field trip in Green. I remember Magnolia Grove you had to go to Magnolia Grove at one time. You know what I'm saying? We went to Magnolia Grove, we didn't go nowhere else.
We went to Moundville State Park.
Moundville State Park. We had to go to them places. But you got the safe house. You can walk to the safe house from the elementary. Hold hands and just walk around the corner, you there. But I think honestly that should be something that the administration should implement, to where that's one of our field trips for the year. to go, have the students go tour the Safe House Museum. I think when you know what your people went through and why you have the privileges that you have, I think it won't change everybody's mindset, but it'll change a lot of people's mindset to where they will look at life from a different perspective. And that's why I think it's important that we need to introduce our young Black, especially males and girls, to our history right there in Greensboro. When I took a group when I was a director at the Boys and Girls Club, I took a group down to Memphis, to the Lorraine Hotel. During that time, that was one of my main things, to introduce these young people to our history. I took a group down to Selma, to Montgomery, also to the museums of Montgomery, because that's one thing we don't do. We don't teach our own history.
Well, Miss Delamana said, "You right, Reverend Long. I'm expecting 2 groups in March from all over the nation by bus to come into Marion." And my mom had said that's how they used to pick up. They used to use pickup. That's how they used to pick up and lynch black men. They came in trucks and would drag them to the lesson back then. But I would say this though, with that, like you guys are 100% correct. That's why I take it up. So I had on my show, I had my mom come on. I had a deacon from my church in Augusta, Deacon Thomas, to come on, because he was one of 6 kids to integrate a high school in Augusta, Georgia. And he was the first 6, and he talked about his experience. And you don't think about that. You don't think about that, but like when you talk to people that actually live through it, you get a different perspective. Because I didn't have to go through integration. We still don't get it twisted now. I tell people all the time, I went to a segregated high school. I never went to school with a white person in my primary education school experience. Not one time.
Really?
Think about it. I went to Uniontown, Kenneth campus. There wasn't no white person at East Campus. Not one white student the entire time I was there. Not one. But not one white student. And when we played sports, we was integrated. And it was funny about that in good old Greensboro, Alabama. Little League, everything was integrated. We played baseball, integrated. But it was funny because all the athletic white kids went to Southern. And then, you had a few more. But like if they played more than one sport, football, they went to Greensboro. If they played baseball, basketball, they went to Southern. They didn't come to Greensboro. And I played basketball with one white boy that played basketball 1 year the whole entire time. I think
was it Matt Moore?
Matt Moore, because I think he played junior varsity with us, and I think that was y'all senior year, Larry.
You had 2 more white guys. I can't remember their name. I think they graduated with Gary Smith and Michael Help with them. Was 2 white dudes. They were pretty good. They played basketball. I think maybe 1 year, 1 or 2 years. But those the only 3 I know that played basketball.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying that. But I tell people I went to a segregated, and guess what? It wasn't desegregated until 2007 when they combined the schools. So
that was 2010. I was in Afghanistan. That was 2010. I was in Afghanistan when that happened. I said, that's the worst move they can make. Don't do it. I was like, don't do it. I came back home, went to go visit my mom, and them white folks up at the Board of Education pulling their kids out just to quick, like the house was on fire, send them to Malvern other school. I'm like, can they do that? They were like, yeah, we can't stop them from sending their kids where they want to go, but they were pulling them out left and right, sending them somewhere else.
And Larry, that's 2010. That one 1965.
Let's talk about the middle school today. Every time they have a ceremony, I scan the room and I don't see nothing but African American. If they are there, it ain't
Hispanic.
You may see a few, but it's not a whole lot. When they merge them schools, they pull their kids out.
Now, let's be honest. Let's go ahead, because I ain't gonna make this a straight race thing, because there's a lot of black folk pull their kids out of school and send them up the mountain too.
I agree. I agree. I agree.
Hey, look,
let's do a ratio of the numbers.
No, Robert, no. You want your they sent them up there because they felt that it was a better choice for their kids' school.
Well, they really was following the money. If you notice, when the schools were separate but one, it was more funding in the school. Thing kind of rolled a little better. But as soon as they merged them schools, the support left. Football game, don't nobody be going to no football games no more.
But who went to the football game, Lim?
Them other folks.
Listen,
they love the Greensboro Raiders. Black folk there, we were there for the band and stuff like that, but the white folk, they supported the Greensboro Raiders.
Hey, look, they were gonna be there regardless. Us, we were gonna be there if they win. Listen, I'm telling you, when we went to the state championship game, I'm telling you, when we played T.R. Miller, December of 97, we played T.R. Miller in the semifinal game. I ain't never seen you feel pain in the room only on all sides, even over there in T.R. Miller, they travel deep. But now you go back to the game right now, man, it's like folks were willing to stay on the other side and watch for free, not donate money, and then talk about the program.
Over there in Drake parking lot.
Yeah, but Jaden said it's white flight. No, it wasn't just white flight. A lot of black folks went up the mountain.
A lot of them, but like I said, they followed the money. They knew they knew when they pulled them out, they were pulling the money was leaving too. So they followed the money.
More Caucasian than it was black.
Right. Well, I mean, it is, but Robert, I ain't gonna sit here and just act like that. It was just one.
It wasn't one side. They followed the money. It
wasn't just one side.
They followed the money.
But the question is this though: Do you honestly blame them?
I don't blame them, but to me, I had just came back from Afghanistan.
Yeah,
and that angered me because we in other countries trying to fix their problems, and we got problems right here that people don't want to address or act like it's the norm, but yet it's a problem. So I was more angry than anything because we don't address the real issues as if everything okay, and then the kids see what's going on, the children see what's going on.
Yeah,
Mama, why you snatching Daddy? Why you snatching me out of school? Well, his other friend went to Mount, so he need to go to Mount too. Kids suffer from this. The one or two white or black friends you had, now they done snatched them out and sent to another school because it's about the skin color. If we just be honest,
of course it is.
So I was more angry because I just was shocked that the parents were coming up like that and just could just switch schools with no issues.
No, it ain't, Robert.
Yes, it is.
You about to get fired up, Larry.
Because I see it from a different lens.
What the lens you see it from?
Because I was one of them little black kids at the country club.
But I mean, so
I know that community well.
Well, I mean, but this is what I say, and I'm not denying it. I'm really just playing devil's advocate. But what I am saying is, the reality is when we sit back and we talk about that, well, what other folks are doing, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing to make our situation right? Better? Ball is in our court. We don't do anything but complain about what's not being done or what we're not getting like other people are getting, but we have the same ability, the same resources to do what we need to do. And this is the problem, right? No, we do, Robert. We do.
Let me explain something. When we go resource, let me say this. Okay. Could we go back and we said when the schools were we had to support People's Bank. We had the support of Citizen Bank. We had
and the businesses and the businesses within the community.
And all of them. We do not have the same resources because we don't have access to the same resources.
But Robert, I'm gonna ask you this question, and this is why I say that. We go back to when we were segregated, right? The community supported each other. They supported the schools. The businesses did what they needed to do. The problem is this: when we say that, right? Because nobody put any pressure on anything to demand anything or go to them. For example, right? When we say we had the backing of all of these things, who has represented the school to go and get that right now? Who has sat down and with those people to say, hey, go ahead.
When I was over the Booster Club, we went to some of these places. Oh, we don't support the public school. Now,
and guess what?
I had an issue with it because black folk keep these same business that they don't want to support but they support, Southern Academy, but we keep them in business. And we keep going in there knowing that they said they ain't been to support these public schools.
We control the resources. We control our resources. That's what I'm saying. We'll let them tell us they're not going to support the public school, but we'll still take and give them our money.
Not me.
See, the same thing happened. The same thing happened, and we got to look at it, the economic power that we have. Because what people don't realize is the bus boycott in Montgomery broke them. It broke the city because the black people stopped riding the bus, and they was treating the black people wrong. But the black people was the one that keeping the infrastructure afloat with their resources. If you tell me that you ain't gonna keep bringing you my money,
Robert, I made it public. These jokers were still going because people don't care. People don't care about that nowadays. Well, I'm going anyway. I don't care.
That's Larry. That's why I said we got the resources. That's why I said, because Ms. Delamain said we got resources, our priorities in the wrong place. That's the point that I'm making with that. You ain't got to support me, but guess what? I'm gonna make sure everybody else know where you stand at.
But we got resources. Because I mean, if you can buy every pair of new J's that come out, every iPhone, my homeboy said a 3.5. I ain't know what a 3.5 was. If you can afford the 3.5s, I'm like, what a 3.5? That's marijuana. If you can buy all that type of stuff, you could at least donate to the school in some form, shape, or fashion. Our priorities are in the wrong place. One thing I can say about the exodus of the majority of the white people out of the Greensboro schools, it gave black folks, it canceled it the white folk fault. Although some of them still say it, you can't blame the white folks been gone since 2010. So you can't keep blaming the white people, because now the cover done pulled down. It been us the whole time. We just been waiting on somebody else to doggone carry us, and we just look good. But it was them that was carrying us the whole time, and now that they gone, we won't step up to the plate.
But then also too, Larry, this is the thing. Well, Rob, we know you ain't gonna, agree with that.
Because I can give you one example.
I know you've been talking about the band. You've been talking about. I already know.
No, I'm talking about the insurance.
Oh, okay.
We don't have the same thing. Do anybody remember Life of Georgia and Mutual Life?
Yeah.
Did you know that they had a lawsuit where they were? My mama got money from that lawsuit, where in the 70s and the 80s they were giving policy at a higher rate
to black
African Americans than they were to Caucasians.
Yeah.
And then it went to the Supreme Court, and they found it was illegal. So then they had a class action lawsuit. My mom got about $30,000 from that lawsuit, and didn't have to do absolutely nothing. So when we say that we got the same resources, we have them now, but we did not have them then.
But Robert, this is what I'm not talking to. See, I'm not talking about what happened in the 70s and the 80s. I'm talking about what happened from the layout when black people been in power in that belt, where black people been in decision-making position with the resources coming in, and they're not allotting it the right way. They're self-serving themselves. And then we still want to blame the white man. Now, and that's the point that I'm saying. Like right now, there's a lot of people that would want to donate to the schools, that will want to give, but they don't trust who they're giving the money to because people ain't transparent with it. You say you need this, But then when you get the money, people ain't coming back and following up and saying, hey, this is what we doing. Portia said something, and my mama said something too. Mama said she bought, my mama graduated from Faulkner University. She said she bought something or made a small donation. Portia said she did the same thing for the University of Alabama. She said she would give it the miles every month, ain't get nothing. She made one small donation to the University of Alabama, and they sent her every month, sent her an update about what they got going on in an email. You know, folks will want to donate, but they don't make it. People don't trust the people that's in leadership position. And you cannot tell me we don't get funding. You can't tell me we don't have tax revenues. You can't tell me all of this stuff going on and we don't see nothing better. Like, and that's just for me, man. It's just kind of like, man, what are we doing? And then when we talk about it, people get in their feelings because now we talking about folks that's in their family and they feel like we're attacking them. We're talking about what are we doing? And we look at other communities, man. Man, Tuscaloosa don't look nothing like it looked back in 2011. Now only 15th Street, they done built up everything. They even down on the Riverwalk. They still building downtown.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, they building around the university, so that's another reason why they're doing it. You know, everything being built around the University of Alabama. So university is their main money maker. So they building everything around the university. Now you go out on the west side, you ain't gonna see all that. You know, Alberta kind of doing a little better. Skip, he doing a little good over there. But a lot of them other areas, they didn't get the upgrades in Tuscaloosa. Go down on the west side, other side down by Stillman. You don't see none of that.
Oh no.
You don't see none of that.
No. It's almost like it's a force field. It's like it's a barrier. It stops.
Yeah.
But you know that's not just Tuscaloosa though.
Yeah.
I mean, when you go to, especially any city that you go to, with the exception of Norman, Alabama, where Alabama A&M, because they've been out there by themselves. But if you go to any major city, any pretty, like if you go to Columbia right now, Columbia, South Carolina, Benedict and Allen University side by side, they're over there at 5 Point. If you know about 5 Point, if you go over to Montgomery, what's right outside of Alabama State? And if you go,
the courts, the smiling courts,
roughness.
But with that, a lot of that is, and that's when we get back there of the cultural development teams where they zone cities for certain things and they make certain rules. Where if you look at, there's a lot of liquor stores and title pawn shops and certain things in certain areas that are not allowed in other areas where you go. Yeah, you go. It's like that in Augusta. You go inside, you don't see nothing but banks, and then you see stores. You go on the other side, check cash in place, title pawns, all of that, and it's zoned for that for a reason. But the people that are making those decisions, the zones, are the elected officials, and that's how they are making those decisions. The same thing when we get upset, we get emotional, don't see no change. All them folks were mad about green limits, and how long that election was ago?
Minute.
What changed for the city limits? You see what I'm saying? Like that should have been changed. That should have been addressed. That should have been up for vote, and then boom, they changed the city limit. Because if you're in a city like Greensboro, if I'm paying city utilities, I'm got done in the city limits. So I got to pay city utilities. I got to pay for the power from this, all that stuff from the city, but then vote in the city of what's going on. Man, please. But guess what? People was upset for a hot minute that less than 50% of the people that was eligible to vote voted, and you let the minority make the decisions for the majority and complain the whole time and ain't gonna go back and do nothing about it, but complain again. But we vote these same folks in office, and the people we vote and put in office don't have a clue. And then we keep people in office, they get in office, and the only thing they want to do is stay in their power because guess what? That's their sense of livelihood. That's their source of income. So they just trying to stay in there, Larry. They ain't trying to get out the way. They're going to do everything they can to protect themselves to stay in there. And we see it all the time. And guess what? The same stuff keep happening in the Black Belt, and we don't see no growth. It's a darn shame, man. I'll be traveling all over the country trying to find corporations to come into the Black Belt. Me with county leaders say, hey, look, we got some, hey, this is what we can do.
Or what do we need?
Connect us. Yeah, Kanakasaja sell. They got a contract with Decker there. Means that they're selling Connect overseas in Germany, all these military bases. They sell them up here at Fort Drum. They're being made right down there in the Black Belt. When I Fort Hood in Killeen, Texas, I could go to the Albertsons grocery store and buy Southern Pride catfish at the grocery store in Texas.
Yeah, DC too.
What we got right now?
Nothing.
But you sit on it, but then now you go right there and then now you got the corrupt leadership at the city level that let these businesses come in and just destroy them and put all their costs on them. Like, how you gonna let Harvest Select? How you gonna let them destroy your infrastructure for your sewage and your water for the city of Uniontown, and then you don't get them because the old city leadership allegedly was getting a little kickbacks and they were buying them tickets to the football games and stuff like that. But the citizens are the ones got to pay them high water bills.
And I know that company bringing in billions of dollars.
Man,
They give
millions of dollars.
They give a donation to Southern Academy.
I wouldn't doubt.
Think about it though.
I know they do.
But
I wouldn't doubt.
I mean, we talk about it, and what I want people to understand too is we got elected officials that are on certain key boards, key committees at the state level that they need. If you are elected official at the city and the county level of one of those state representatives that represent your area, y'all need to be meeting and talking about what they can do and what influence they can do to bring stuff from those committees who make certain decisions, certain laws that can bring resources to this area. Just be talking about it. If we talking about you got somebody on the board of education or education committee, what additional things we can get for our community down here with education? What some things that we get? And we got to start looking at that, start asking those questions instead of just not talking to them until it's time to come back for another election round. And then I would tell you this, when you start looking at those committees that these people own, then you start to go back and do some research on the voting, who made campaign contributions. It'll open your eyes to a lot of things. Somebody on a banking committee and you see a bank of a donation, you start to wonder, I wonder what is being asked on that. But let me see what Duck said. Duck said, look at all the free work and thousands of dollars that Judge Wiggins gave faithfully every year, and his people and his own people tried to destroy him. 2023, let's turn it around. Let us do better, build together. I don't know what Duck, what you know what Duck talking about?
Judge, he does a lot. Like every year, I know he used to host the semi-pro league in Greensboro. He do a lot. I think he even spearheaded the St. Paul district. I think the last tornado they hit. I forgot the name of the organization, but I was on the call. But the state was like, if Hill County had a certain type of committee, they could have received a certain amount of government funding. So Judge Wiggins kind of helped put that together within the St. Paul district. So they have that in place. So if something else happened, they can get those government funding. So he do a lot, especially when it comes to disaster relief. He try to do a lot. But I think that's one of the key things. Like I said, the churches are in a position to where they can do more. Like Miss Della was talking about how the church used to be the hub that put out information. It let people know what was going on, like what they need to do. Churches don't do that no more. Pastors are afraid to address social injustices and things that we actually deal with on a day-to-day life in our day-to-day lives. But if you can't talk about it in church, what can you talk about it?
Yeah.
So I think the church has stepped back and not really addressing real life issues that your members deal with on a day-to-day basis. And pastors don't give them that information. They don't even seek the information. They don't even bring people in about the insurance, the importance of having insurance, whether it's life, health insurance, homeowners insurance, renters insurance. A lot of our people, man, just don't know. And the church should be that hub that puts out that information to educate our people. It's good to tell them about Jesus, but at the same time, we gotta give them information on how to live, how to better their lives, how to do more for your children, generational wealth. And we're failing in those areas simply because, we feel like, well, churches shouldn't tap into that. But no, we shouldn't have never got out of it. If Jesus, if God is a God of liberation, if God is a God of love, the church should be about liberation too. Anything, all these isms, racism, sexism, socialism, all these type of isms that we dealing with, the church need to be addressing these because all them isms are impacting our people. But you got some scared pastors that don't want to address that. And because of that, our people are falling further and further back because we forgot what the main purpose of the church was during the movement. It was the hub. It was the informational piece. It was the tool. It was the driving force behind our people. And the church has dropped the ball. I'm just going to be honest. As a pastor, the church didn't drop the ball.
Well, we got to get our numbers back up in the church. They can give all the information, but if you ain't got nobody going to church, then you gotta.
But that's the thing. People go to places that got something to offer. If you ain't got nothing to offer me, people go to McDonald's because McDonald's got the Big Mac and the quarter pack. I mean, people go to places that got something to offer. So when the church stop offering, you could tell me about Jesus all day, but if I ain't trying to really hear about Jesus on that level, I'm not coming. So what else do you have for me and my family? Until I'm ready to hear about Jesus. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And the thing is when we look at the different examples of the ministry of Jesus and how Jesus interacted with people, he met their need first. He spoke to their needs first. He didn't come to them talking about, oh, well, you living in sin and this, that, and the third.
No.
He met the woman at the well. He just said, if you knew who I was, I can feel that thirst that you have. You see what I'm saying? That he met their needs. He talked to their needs. And what Larry say, on times narrative is what has been destroying a lot of people from coming back. Now, first of all, a lot of people don't like accountability, but I ain't got to come and tell you wrong to meet your needs.
Right. Because believe it or not, Robert, we already know when we wrong.
Yeah, we know when we're wrong.
We know when we I already know it's wrong.
But people gonna come and be like, well, no, that ain't. Look, you can save me with all that, right? Because only thing we have perpetuated in the church is we have mastered the art of theatrics of the church, right? We know what to do, right? But we're not ministering to the needs of the people, and the needs of the people is to educate them, to provide opportunities for them to educate. One of the other things I say with this is it doesn't take much to get information that you want to seek. And you got to realize, like, okay, is this really working for me? Because one of the things that we had to realize is this: just because you are getting by and surviving doesn't mean that that's the best you can be exposed to. Right. And that's a hard thing to really kind of understand because, this is what I'm comfortable with. But then I realized, like, dang, like, it is possible to, like, it's folks out there that spend $5,000 on a meal. Not saying that I would do it, but they got to where they would. I got a friend of mine right now. We went to school together, and he's into real estate. And him and he owned a big time real estate company. They manage thousands of units, and he just talked about, we just closed a deal on a $15 million property. I'm like, hey man, I just want to listen to you figure out how you got there. Right. Because in my mind, I'm telling myself, guess what? Even though I may not be used to it, I'm gonna get around people that do know it, so that I can elevate my thinking. And you have to have the mindset to elevate and not stay where we at. And what I'm tired of is, as a community, we continue to talk about what we don't have and not talking about what we can do with what we already have. Because we are willingly giving away our power base on a lot of things because we're choosing a conscious effort to stay ignorant to things. That only thing we got to do is ask somebody and they can free us.
Robert, it ain't even that. The issue is we don't know what we have. I mean, within our churches, you got nurse practitioners, RNs, you got social workers, counselors. It's just like having a toolbox, but you don't know how to use the tools in your box. We got everything that we need within our community, within our churches, but we don't utilize them. And then you got people that are within the churches, that are within the community, that have these skills and knowledge and won't even speak up.
Well, some of that is true, but some of it is people that try to speak up and help. They get hit with people because they think they better than them.
Hey, talk anyway. People don't think that anyway. I give two hoots about what people think about Larry.
Yeah.
Because one thing about me, don't nobody pay this mortgage. If you want to pay it, by all means, you can pay it. But my thing is, God didn't put you here for you. It's not about you.
Mm-hmm.
It's to be a blessing to somebody else, and that's where we missing the mark, because we got to the point to where we so selfish, so we think it's about us, but it never was about you.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the next person, and that's where we, as a black community, that's where we're failing. At once upon a time, black folk looked after black folk. Now we're killing each other at a rate that that we've never seen before. We don't care about one another. And if we don't care, why should somebody else care about black folks? If black folk don't care about black folk, explain that to me.
But Larry, a lot of it too is ego. We got a lot of people, they got a big, huge ego. They want to be celebrated for everything they do instead of doing it for what they, the purpose of is to help folks. And if that is you, and you try to pat it as you got to look in the mirror and see, hey man, what is going on with me? Why do I feel like it for? You see what I'm saying? Why do I feel like, I need people to recognize me for the things I'm doing? Why do I got to be celebrated before I do stuff? And I will tell you, if you about that life, you say you really about that life, you'll do what you need to do and won't even care about the celebration part, because it'll be more, your gratification will come from your impacting people's lives and speaking to the lives of those. So
I got a professor, man, that I'm taking right now. And I'm gonna speak out, but me and him bump heads. The first class, I just sat back and just listened, but the second class, I'm talking. Oh, he did not like my commentary, but my classmates were like, I'm kind of on what Long talking about, but because he got his doctorate degree and he got his, I'm trying to get mine. He thought he could shoot me down. But buddy, I don't care about you having your doctorate degree. The reality of life is what it is.
Yeah.
And just because you got a doctorate degree don't mean you right within your commentary. So he got mad because I spoke against what he said, and what I said made most sense to my classmates where they backed me up. So where this Negro got mad at me. But guess what they did, Robert? Every time he say something out of line, guess who's going to say something? Long. You can't flunk me because I'm going to do my work. I'm going to do my work. I'm going to do that. So like Ms. Maynard was like, you got people in leadership that don't like to hear it. You're going to hear it anyway. You can't silence me. I got the right to talk.
Yeah.
So my thing is speak anyway so other people can hear you as well, because a lot of our people are lost. And when we speak, our voice got power in it, y'all. The voice got power. Doggone John the Baptist, the voice crying in the wilderness. Black people have lost their voice in the community. And when you lose your voice, you lose your power. That's what got us over back during the civil rights movement, our voice. But who's speaking now? Nobody. And the people that speaking talking foolish.
Yeah.
They ain't talking about that. They just making a whole. Mr. Brunson said, an empty wagon do what?
Make the loudest noise.
Thank you.
And you know what, Laramie, is the momentum of the civil rights movement came off the back of the ordinary people.
Absolutely.
and it wasn't these, you know, like we got all of this, we got all of these people.
Why is Doug about to make me cuss him out?
Don't cuss about tonight.
He said everybody preaching tonight. That's what he said. Everybody preaching tonight.
Don't get him, bro, Tab.
But no, with that, what I'm saying is,
in the shadows and stuff. I'm trying not to curse.
We got to stop expecting. You know, we got enough knowledge. You know, and yeah, it's good to have celebrities to use their platform to speak out. But a lot of these people we listening to, these folks ain't got no character, man. These folks ain't got no soul. They ain't about making the community better. They're about building their own platform. And I listen to a lot of people, and then this is how you know the difference, right? You got a lot of people that say they speak for the community, but when you see them put in the situation, they always choose themselves first. They will always choose themselves first. And then you'll see, like, and they aren't accountable to anything but their own agenda. Now, I can call some names out here, but it's a lot of people. You see them switch up. You're like, oh, you talking good. But guess what? A broke clock is right twice a day. So, man, I know, man, we had some good topics tonight on the show tonight. I know we share some things and be sharing some other stuff, but you go read. We try to share some stuff on the panel. But I would say this too, in reference of resources, right? I wonder how would people feel about if we did like and I'm speaking particularly for Greensboro, because I'm thinking about like every year stuff come up, right? And a lot of things going on with the youth. And I'm talking about really supporting the youth, things going on with the youth. That we can have what we call like a external club. People can donate to it. And with that $100 club, what it will be is it'll be set up. Everybody that make donations will get regular reports on it. We'll come together, set a committee to vote on what we would do to support the community. So like things like Darryl Evans and Kim, and when they did the basketball camp, you know, we can make donations towards supporting that. Then we can go with other, and then go back to these other businesses and then say, hey, look, this is what we're trying to do, and see, can we get that type of support back up? And then to support these kids. Because one thing that I've seen in the Black Belt, I know I follow a lot of schools. I know Moundville have it, Greensboro, Thomasville, Demopolis. They're having a lot of recruiters come to these schools and get these kids. But what I'm talking about is for a lot of these different things. Shout out to Brandon Kroom doing the work that they did, and those people that have been doing things for the community. They should not have to struggle to get these things to provide for our kids. And we have the resources that we can support that. But I think a lot of people just didn't feel comfortable with donating because they ain't trust people that said they was doing something with it. So if you're open to participating in something with that, hey, just leave a comment or send us an inbox or reach out, and we can partner together, do something together with that, and hopefully that we can support the community even better.
There was an organization we was putting together when I was at the Boys and Girls Club, man. Me, Sean Tab, Kimberly Evans. It was like an alumni association, and we tied it in with Greensboro, Sunshine, and Akron. We never just put it all together, but we had awesome meetings about it. And I'm trying to get back to Greensboro. So if it's the Lord's will, I'll be back in Greensboro soon because I love home. But you know, we put a plan together because, you know, Akron was shut down, Sunshine was shut down, but at the same time, even though those schools were shut down, you know, they still have their history. So we can come together in the name of those schools to have an alumni association to sow into our schools.
Yeah.
And if just say if you got 3,000 people just in Greensboro alone, they didn't count Akron and these other places, but if people could donate $100 a year, that's over $300,000.
Yeah.
That ain't even counting Sunshine in the Akron area. And you can pay $10 a month, you know, however you want. You ain't got to pay the $100 up front if you ain't got it.
Yeah.
But the resources are there.
Yeah.
It's just in our pockets. But our thing is, there's a picture that I have, and I'll send it to you later on. It's an old man. He's in Africa somewhere. And he's planting a tree. And what he says is, I may not ever enjoy the shade of this tree, but somebody else will.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we miss out at. We're not thinking about the people that are coming behind us.
Mm-hmm.
We're thinking about now. So we're not planting any trees so somebody else can enjoy the shade. And once we have that mindset to where it's not about me, I want to make it better for the people that come behind me. Greensboro will be better. Marion will be better. Uniontown, the Black Belt as a whole will be better when we stop thinking about ourselves and start planting those trees, even though we may never enjoy the shade, knowing somebody that come behind us will enjoy the shade. Once we have that type of mindset, our communities will do better. But we just got a lot of selfish people that are all about self and not thinking about those that come behind us. Then they struggle because we struggle. We made their struggle a struggle because we didn't put things in the right perspective.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. And the thing is, Lemon, we benefited from somebody else planting the trees for us.
Exactly.
Yep. So what y'all got going on this week, Robert?
Pretty much nothing. Oh, I got some stuff going on. I'm prepping. February is a hot month for me. I got about 4 or 5 events that I gotta wrap my head around. So this week is a planning week.
Let me make Duck Friend mad real quick. Miss Idota Jones, you see her comment, Robert?
Sunshine be open.
Miss Idota, I love Sunshine, but they have about 50 students. That's in the elementary and the high school.
Well, that was Akron too.
So I can understand the move behind closing it down because financially, it just didn't make sense.
Resources.
It just didn't make. So I understood the call to shut it down because of the number of students there. Understood that. But Sunshine, I mean, they were doing great. They had good test grades, but like I said, they didn't have a whole lot of students either. So financially, I understood why the board said, hey, we got to close school because you got all those bills they had to pay at the school, and you didn't have, a big number of students. I can understand that.
What you got going on this week, Larry?
Man, school. I'll be going back to Virginia. Well, I'm actually taking classes online and in Virginia, so I'll be going to Virginia in 2 weeks. Man, I'm just excited about my classes, man. I've been learning. I've been preaching to be 24 years this month. And I never knew about Black theology. I heard people preach all, but Virginia Union is all about Black theology, our theology. It's about liberation, liberation for the Black people. The school was founded by slaves. I got a rich history. But man, I'm just enjoying learning more, especially about Black theology, about liberation, because we got a lot of people that are still bound today by society. Mm-hmm. And the church don't address a lot of those issues. And I just thank God for putting me in a place to where I can grow more and address issues that we deal with as a people. And it just ain't Black folks. You got other people that, in bondage too. Black women, man, I mean, just how, even as Black men, we treat our Black women the way we were taught, as if, they're less than, especially in the church, Black women, women can't preach, women can't be in this position, women can't do that, women can't do this. And that's another form of doggone just degrading.
Yeah.
And we pick up the same thing the slave master did, and we do it to our women. So I just thank God, man, for putting me in a place to where, I'm seeing stuff from a whole different perspective, and to where I can bring it back and be a blessing to the community where I am. Because if you don't know nothing about Black theology, I promise y'all, man, it is so deep. So I'm just grateful that God has given me the opportunity to go to such a school as Samuel DeWitt Proctor School of Theology at Virginia Union, so that I can better my craft, so that I can, help make my people better.
Man, that's good, man. Ms. Dayla May said, "Wait for me, made and married February the 18th."
Well, now you know I used to model now, Miss Della. Now I used to model now. I used to model.
Hey, Miss Jones said they was all good students. Prove me wrong. Hey, no, man, I'm just working again this week, man. Man, there's just been a lot, man, and pushing through it. Getting ready we have a lot going on up here, man. Getting ready for a lot of movement, a lot of deployments, redeployments, those type of things, and supporting that. So just doing it and just looking forward to next week, man. Hey, everybody, ask everybody to go to YouTube. We got the Black Belt Experience YouTube channel. So all of these shows that you're seeing that we're doing, we're uploading there. So this will be uploaded shortly later on tonight on there. So go check us out, the Black Belt Experience on YouTube. Thank you again for your support. Thank y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate you guys and look forward to the conversation again next week. God bless.
Peace. Duke must have took the missus out for her birthday or something.